Good morning. Okay, and welcome to good morning and welcome to day 3 of 100 days of community. Uh, this idea came to me when I was watching the end of the inauguration, and the newscaster was like, "Well, we'll see what happens in the first 100 days of presidency." And I was like, maybe we should do something to combat that, right? To kind of give us some like hope, some feeling. And the feedback that I'm getting has been amazing because that is exactly what it feels like for people, right? Like, okay, there's some actionable steps, there's some help, there's something to look forward to besides the doom and gloom as we are watching. President Trump fumble through, executive orders and a lot of illegal stuff that just we cannot we cannot lend focus to. And what we need to do is be organizing here at the bottom because the top we can't do anything about that. So here we are. So today is day 3, and we are focusing on how supremacy culture disconnects us. And if you were here yesterday or if you missed it, you can catch it on the podcast area of the Substack. And we were talking about those 15 pillars of supremacy culture, which is the foundation of my work, because we were discussing individualism. To give a recap, supremacy culture is the systems of whiteness that brings about all of the oppression. So we're talking about white supremacy, which impacts Black and brown bodies. We're talking about cis supremacy, which impacts trans bodies. We're talking about ableism, Christianization. We're talking about patriarchy, all of the systems that are built in order to oppress another person. That's supremacy culture. And within them, there are 15 pillars. My work is when I first began, I started on TikTok and I'm like, hello, I'm Desiree B. Stevens and I pathologize whiteness. And I do. I look at it as a system, right? That we just have to dismantle, that is intended to um, benefit white bodies, but it does not benefit all white bodies, not trans white bodies, not disabled white bodies. But first and foremost, because this is a white supremacist delusion that we live in, race is the first marker. So that is why when we say, Black Lives Matter or Black bodies first sort of thing, it's not saying forget what you have going on. It's that within all of those other oppressed groups, there are always Black bodies, and it is inescapable for us. So now that I've given you that little amazing recap, what we're going to do is talk about how supremacy culture, now we kind of have an understanding of it, disconnects us. And if you're new here, I give 3 takeaways that start at the beginning. So, 1 for today is supremacy culture thrives on disconnection. 2, trust is undermined by supremacy culture. 3, rebuilding trust as a tool of liberation. Those will be your 3 takeaways from the micro lesson today. So, how does supremacy culture thrive on disconnection? Because it's built on separation. It's us versus them, no matter what that us is, whether it's white or Black, whether it's cis or trans, whether it's Christian or non Christian, whether it's man or woman. Doesn't matter. It is based on that binary, which is one of those pillars of supremacy culture. You could find an ebook in my link in bio or right here. It'll say tools and resources. It'll take you there. Pay what you can. You're going to see that there's this either or thinking, which sets up the binary. So it's you or me, right or wrong, good or evil. You could see it in the Christianization that has happened too. So it tells us who's worthy, who's not worthy, right? Even when we're having these discussions now in such a tenuous time, and we're like, well, I'm trying to think of like republicards or some disparaging terminology or something that still separates, right? Well, they're a Republican versus a Democrat. And I'm like, okay, well, whose lens are you looking at that from? Because if we start removing the lens and decentering whiteness, I can tell you that Biden has 50 years of racist policies, that there was absolutely no way in hell. I mean, I was going to vote for him either, right? Same with Hillary Clinton. It depends on whose lens you're looking at. These people have systematically stripped rights away from Black bodies, from indigenous bodies of this land forever. So when we decenter whiteness in this work, you start to get a deeper lens, right? You get more depth, more range into how these systems operate, right? So I don't necessarily discard someone because they are something, because that's that either or thinking. Oh, that's a Republican, I can't talk to them. Because the truth of the matter is we're going to have to reach across the divide. Most people are in the positions that they're in because they feel isolated, because they feel unseen, because they feel unheard, because they don't have community. Right. And now, when you're learning how to build community, which the goal of this 100 days of community is that, right? Going through these themes, breaking down what it takes to be safe inside of community, to build intentional communities that are intersectional. You will learn that you will make friends with many people, that not all of your views will align, because supremacy culture demands a monoculture, right? Demands a monolith for everything to be the same. And that's just not humanity. That's just not community. That's just impossible. So we'll learn how to be in community with people that may not share our thoughts, but they share our values. And that's a huge difference. Huge difference. So, anyway, I kind of gave an example here, which says, consider how perfectionism, power hoarding, and fear of conflict keeps us from building genuine connections in our workplaces, in our families, and in our communities. Those are other pillars of supremacy culture. Often we find that, that whole keep the peace attitude that we get, right? Oh, don't bother your father with that nonsense, or I'll handle it. That's not actually keeping the peace. That's actually holding on to discord within your own body and tension, and you're protecting the person who is being harmful in the situation, right? We have to be able to confront people. We have to be able to say, I'm willing to have conflict in this relationship, no matter what that relationship is, to have a conversation to understand deeper what's happening here. What's happening here, right? When somebody tells me they voted for a person, I ask why, right? In 2016, when the motto, because white supremacy and supremacy culture always has a slogan, right? Because it's thought terminating, just makes you go with it. When it was vote blue, no matter who, I was asking, so if Trump flipped his ticket, would you be voting for him? Because he said vote blue no matter who. There's no thoughts to it. Amanda says that's my family to a T. It's a very normal structure inside of white families to keep the peace, and it upholds the patriarchy because white women have been systemically trained to uphold patriarchy as their protection from a system. If you strip away all the rights, which is what we're seeing right now, if you strip away women's rights to their body, to their ability to have bank accounts, to their ability to have jobs, right? Like that revocation of the executive order yesterday, people get distracted. It's like, oh, well, affirmative action sort of stuff for Black people. White women have benefited from any civil rights action more than Black people have, aside from the fact that we can vote. It just had, that is the absolute truth, because they're not after us. We are just an afterthought. They don't care what happens to us, that it impacts us deeper or greater. The goal is to keep white women disenfranchised, barefoot and pregnant, to create their Christian cis patriarchal white ethno state. And if you have no rights, they could do that, right? So that idea of keeping the peace was keeping them safe under patriarchy. This is the only way I can survive, is underneath this man. And that is something that has to be broken away from too. And we will get through that. Don't worry about it. But anywho, so yes, that is a very normal thing. And that is one of the pillars, and it would be called fear of open conflict. So the ability to have conflict really comes from being able to be curious and to have a communication style that is more of a nonviolent communication style. And I will be, I think in like week 5 or so, I'll be introducing Sunjata. He's here on Substack under Sustainable Solutions. He does amazing work with intentional dialogue and nonviolent communication. So he will be joining. But you'll be able to have that, right? Like I've shared on my Substack, my aunt, who's one of my most favorite people in the world, is 100% back to blue Trump supporter. And I am who I am. But I went home and we had the best of times. My kids, like they love their great aunt. We played Uno. We had a good time. She's hella Christian now, more so than we grew up. And if you read that article, it's really cool to see. who she's become and how I recognize how she's become that. So we're able to have these conversations. Now you're going to have, when you are able and willing to have some sort of conflict, you will suss it out. You will be able to say, okay, does this person actually hate me because I'm trans, or like what I'm saying with Black people, or is this just a byproduct of their choice, right? Like, I don't care. Like, I hate that it impacts you, but this is why I'm choosing it. Now, there are going to be some people that are 100% like, I hate trans people, hate Black people, hate queer people, hate Jews, hate them. And this, I voted for this absolutely. Right. Like, I knew that this would be the outcome, and this is what I voted for. And those people you don't want in community. Those people you want to stay very far away from and keep them away from those that you love and care about. But being willing to have the conflict, being willing to have a conversation, to get curious is going to get you, like, some people really believe he's going to help the economy. And underneath classism, okay, tell me why. Tell me why, right? But if you have a class of people suffering under the weight of buying eggs or putting gas in their car, and they believe that he's going to bring better jobs, bring better, like, this is all, if they believe this, right? Because we vote on what we believe a politician is going to do. I can have a conversation with them. I'm willing to have some healthy conflict with that person and say, okay, well, let's talk about facts. Let's bring this up. Let's bring that up. Let's bring in somebody that can actually give you a financial forecast on what this would look like and see what you actually voted for and what is actually going to happen. That is how you can kind of suss out. And that person could be safe in community with you. Okay, I get it. So your issue actually is you're suffering under capitalism. Okay, how can we help in community? What can we do to make your survival of capitalism easier? Because at the top doesn't give a damn. That top 1% really doesn't care. And those things are not going to benefit that bottom level of this pyramid scheme, right? But when I've sussed that out with having that open conflict, I could turn around and say, okay, well, what do you need? Oh, daycare is killing you. Okay, well, let's see about a co-op, because I know three other people over here that are sharing, doing a nanny share, doing a daycare co-op. And that is how you start formulating who can be in community and why, instead of just saying they voted for XYZ. Oh, they do this, that, and the other thing. You have to be willing to have that. And supremacy culture disconnects us. So we're not willing to have that. But then the danger of that is we wind up in echo chambers. We wind up in places and spaces that are not having conflicting thoughts, that are not even having critical thoughts, right? Because if we all think the same, we don't even think to question each other. We're like, yeah, we're all for this. We're all pro X, Y, and Z. Well, no, I want to talk to somebody that's anti that. Why? Why are you? What's your fear? Where is that coming from? Where did you get this belief? Why do you believe that? Et cetera, et cetera. So that is how it thrives on the disconnection. And to build community, excuse me, I'm feeling stuffy today. To build community, you have to be willing to go in deeper, to have a little bit more depth and range, to have conversations, to have open conflict, to ask questions, to get curious and really suss out, are you safe in community? Because remember, I always tell people, like, if you have a Black friend, like an actual Black friend, not somebody that you work with, go to school with, teach, or any of that, they are taking a chance on you every time, because systemically you are dangerous to them. You are dangerous, because that's how systems work. Amanda says it sounds it's partly about letting go of black and white thinking and getting into creative solutions to problems within the community. Yes, because black and white thinking are binary thoughts, right? That's either or thinking, very strong pillar that holds it up. I really, in yesterday's episode, I put like a little poster board, well, not a poster board, but like a little picture of those 15 pillars and broke them down. You can, again, go, that infographic is free and printable. I'm telling you, if you learn these and you start pinpointing them and naming them, it will make community building that much easier, because you could see what's being activated in your body. You could see where someone else may be coming from. And you could say, okay, you know what? This is me feeling defensive, because that's another one of those pillars. Let me lean into that. Let me take a breath. Maybe I don't need to be defensive. Maybe this person is not saying what I think they're saying. So let me get curious. And sometimes they are, and then fuck them. right? Like, this is how you're going to suss out your community. And you are saying what I thought you were saying. Thanks, you're not safe. It's just that simple, instead of wondering and questioning who is and who is not safe, right? Um, there's a tiny little human sneaking past in the back. So that's your one point, right? On how supremacy culture thrives on disconnection. And to build community, you have to bridge ways of finding connections. And like Amanda said, I think it was Amanda, right? Like creative solutions to problem solving, because we're all having problems underneath these systems. So how can we get creative? Laura says, oh my God, I am always defensive. Been noticing that about myself. Good. Get curious. Where is this coming from? Why do I feel defensive? What did they actually say? And like literally, my theme this year is get curious. I do it with my kids too. Why are you so upset? Get curious about it. Two, trust is undermined by supremacy culture. Supremacy culture erodes trust in ourselves, in each other, and in the systems around us. It teaches us to be hyper independent, fear vulnerability, and doubt our worth. I mean, I feel like that in and of itself is self explanatory, right? When you think about Christianization being the first colonization, because that's what it was, right? You have people going into European lands and saying everything that you do is evil. Everything that you are is evil. You are uncivilized, heathen, and we will burn your town down unless you worship our God. And this God, is good and your God is evil. It introduces that binary. It introduces the either or. It introduces the self doubt. My ways, my language is not good. And this is the only way to salvation. And this is the only way. So who am I without this Savior? Who am I? It created the first intercessory, right? It was the first separation between us and our own divinity. And it continued and bundled and kept going until we have these systems now. This is its greatest manifestation. So everything we do, we question. Like, is this the right decision to make? Is this the way to move? And every single thing in this system backs that up to make us question ourselves, to make us wonder, to question others, because it sets us up for competition, very specifically in capitalism. And it starts in our homes, right? Competing for, the attention of your father based on your mother or another sibling. It's a very weird situation that happens in white family systems, and it's very incestuous and it's very intentional to be that way, to set you up, because home is your first place. Then you're going to go out into the world, and work is going to train you in that further, to compete against this person for a promotion. Nobody's talking about what gets paid. So everybody's like, you know what? That's that rugged individualism. I could do this myself. I don't need any help. And it's like, what? We all need help. We need to be able to trust ourselves. I have to trust me first. Whenever I hear somebody say I don't trust anybody, it's a red flag to me. I'm like, it's you don't trust you. I trust people. I trust people to be exactly who they are. And I get curious about who they are. And I trust people because I trust me. I trust my discernment. I trust my judgment. And sometimes that leads me awry, and that's okay. That's a learning. Okay. I'll pay attention to that. That's another thing to get curious about. Should I see it in another person? Let's see what Tiffany says. This is really hard for me as a very non confrontational person. And from my upbringing with my dad, who wants to argue and raise his voice and call names, I shrink immediately. As a 46-year-old woman, at the thought of conversation with the other side, my dad is not a safe space, and I don't know how to be in relationship with him right now. And I don't want to become like him. And I'm feeling a lot of anger right now. One, I do not promote people being in unsafe spaces. That conversation, if you choose to have it, can be had via text, via the phone, via email. Get clear on your desire. Do you want a relationship with your father? Right? When I share that information about my aunt, I want a relationship with my aunt. So, because of that, it is important for me to be able to confront things with love. It's boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. I am full of love, but I have boundaries like a motherfucker. You can't talk to me crazy. And you could stop that conversation right there. Wow, thanks. We're done. And no is a complete sentence, friend. No. I will not go any further. If this is how you're going to talk to me, no. Will I have a conversation and it's uncomfortable? Will I have a conversation and I don't necessarily like what you're saying? It's kind of making me skeeve a little bit. Yes. Can you talk to me out of pocket? Can you be disrespectful to me? Absolutely not. And if I'm doing it to you, cut me off too. Oh, you know what, does? And not I'm uncomfortable. Say that I'm uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable where this is going. Can we put a pin in this? This was a lot. I'm learning how to have these kind of conversations. I need to put a pin in it. And can we revisit it? That's okay. We could do that because there's no rush here. I made you uncomfortable with something I'm saying. Okay, that's fine. We'll put a pin in it. We'll come back. But make sure we revisit it. Yes, you can. Being outright disrespectful? No. Will you become him? I mean, get curious. How did he become him? I can't tell you if you would or you wouldn't, right? He may be very angry for a lot of reasons. When I'm talking with white people very specifically, because that seems to be who loves me and my work. No, it's really who I target, right? Because these systems were created for you. And if we could get you guys to dismantle it, we wouldn't be impacted by it. I often ask white women very specifically, when have you ever seen a white man in your life cry? Who asks the men in your lives, did they ever want to be married? Did they want to have children? Did they want to work that job? Right? Patriarchy harms men first. That's how systems of abuse work. It has to harm the person first so they can continue the cycle of abuse, right? So, like, I'm a visual sort of person. So, right, like the man has to go out very specifically. I'm speaking about white men and patriarchy because what we need to remember is that in this country, even white men could not vote unless they owned property. Property being white women as a wife, land that was stolen from the indigenous people, or enslaved Africans that were stolen people on stolen land. So the pyramid scheme top 1%, that those aristocratic Brits that set up this situation that looks very similar to the monarchy, set up a situation that had to harm them first, right? I don't have time to love you. I don't have time to hug you, talk to you, or anything. I have to work for your survival. You can't even work. Right? So this is generations of trauma and abuse. And they weren't allowed to feel. They weren't allowed to heal. They didn't have the same supports, even when white women had those violent ass sewing circles, right? Men didn't have that. Very specifically, white men did not and still don't. The highest rates of suicide are white men. If it was so great to be a white man, they wouldn't be killing themselves. So what I task white women to do, thank you very much for bringing this up, is I tell them to give white men the same grace that Black women have been giving you for generations. We sit with you, we befriend you, we educate you, we take on your children. When the little kids are mixed and you don't have no aunties, we become their aunties. We love on them, we love on y'all. We need you to give white men the same exact grace we give you. Okay? Because you didn't always know what you know now either. Give him the same grace, time, and space to learn and grow. Now, that does not mean allow him to abuse you. You could turn around and say, I want a relationship with you. I love you. And I want us to get there. What you can't do is call me names and you can't raise your voice to me. If you'd like to continue this conversation, I would like to too. But those are my ground rules. If you raise your voice or call me out of my name, I'm going to have to hang up this phone. And if he does, you do that. You follow through, you take some deep breaths, you ground yourself, you get into your body, you shake it out. You do it from a place where you feel safe. You don't have to confront anybody in a physical space where you do not feel safe and cannot get to safety immediately. I hope that that helps. And that's part of trusting yourself, right? Trust that you can have these conversations, trust that you can have and hold boundaries because that is going to be needed in any sort of community building. You cannot be outside trying to build community and you cannot hold your own boundary because then people will treat you how they want to treat you. And boundaries are, what we create for ourselves. Like a boundary is a fence. Good fences make great neighbors, right? It is here, right there. This is me. I am safe, and my boundaries are what I create for me to be safe, right? Here. No, you can't do that to me. Lindsay said, how does white supremacy culture inhibit our self trust while also promoting individualism? It's a great question. Well, if you don't fully trust yourself, you cannot trust other people. So you cannot build community, right? So that's an inherent thing. I don't trust myself, but here's what I do know. If I can't trust me, I can't trust any of them. So I'm going to have to do this on my own. So I'm going to have to figure it out on my own. I will bootstrap it. And they're not just one, right? It plays into each other, right? Then you have the American exceptionalism coming in. You have bootstrapping coming in. So you hear all of these things. And how many times have we heard, don't trust anybody? Like, I mean, I know I grew up hearing that. Like, you should not trust other people. This person wants to fuck your man, take your job, tell on you, do something. There's always some reason to not trust someone. So that makes you say, you know what? I'm going to rely on myself, even if you don't trust that. And so that hyper individualism, that hyper independence that gets created causes more of a lack of trust in self because your body, your inner voice knows you need people. We're wired for connection, right? So the more you start separating from community, the more you start separating from trusting other people, it's like, whoa, what's happening? Because we cannot do this on our own. We are failing. We are fucking up. We need help, right? And you keep telling yourself, no, I don't. I can do this on my own. I don't need anybody. I got this. So and so did it on their own. Look at that. Nobody did it on their own. Nobody did it on their own. Nobody did it on their own. So it just kind of feeds into itself. I hope that brings some more clarity. Hi, Anissa. I'm so glad it's right on time. Heard. Yup. Thank you for this. Wow. This is my pleasure. Okay, I'm really respectful of boundaries and I just wanted to do like 30 minutes today, guys. And I'm loving that there's more engagement and I'm fine with going over. Um yeah, no, Lindsay, like systems of whiteness create cognitive dissonance. I used to have a whole series when I used to write on Medium. I had a whole series called Dissonance. And like the sub tagline was something like, am I talking about music or am I talking about white supremacy? Like, because it causes cognitive dissonance. It is a delusion that causes you to live in a constant state of cognitive dissonance because it makes absolutely no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. And we could get into that. But I'm going to quickly go through the third point, rebuilding trust as a tool for liberation. Trust can be rebuilt, but it requires intention and action. It starts with accountability. And remember, I said accountability is neutral, consistent care, and a willingness to be vulnerable. Let me see. I so struggle with allowing myself to lean on others. I'm way better than I used to be, and I'm still working on it. And that's a beautiful thing. That's all you can do is to continuously be willing to work on it. I'm not great at it and I teach it. And I'm like, it still comes up in my body, right? Like, you should be able to do this, Des. What are you doing? Right? Like I shared, this is my first time coming back onto like live things in almost 2 years. My husband and I separated January 26th. What year is this? 25, 23? 23. And that my whole world crashed in with that. And I just could not show up. And it goes back to capacity, right? And I was like, I can't do this. I have 3 children. I'm 45. I'm disabled. I can't do this. I cannot do this. And leaning on people felt embarrassing, felt wrong, right? Like I spent years talking about all of these things. And I'm like, it's still difficult for me. So be gentle with yourself is my only advice. It's going to be difficult because everything in our systems tell us to not lean on anyone. Everything in our system tells us that we are better alone, that we should be doing it alone. It is counterculture. My message is counterculture. It is saying you cannot do this alone. We 100% need community. There is no way to make this up on your own. I'm telling people, fuck it, sell your house, go get into intergenerational homes, buy some land, create something. I don't give a shit if you fucking live in a container home, a hut, a glamping site. live together, move together. And in order to do that, you have to do these works, these steps. You have to do the work of decolonization so you could be safe in community. So your community doesn't look like a monolith. So your community doesn't look like, don't drink the Kool-Aid. You don't want your community to be a cult, right? So these steps in decolonization, these 100 days is going to show you the things that it takes to build true, intentional, intersectional community, right? Because you can't come into community and think you could save anybody in it because we're all here for a reason. Think of it's like I call all my friends my little motley crew. If you saw us, we're like a Benetton commercial. I don't know who's old enough to remember Benetton, but it was like all the colors of the world, right? And we range from all these sorts of different types of people. We're different types of Black people. Like I'm an Irish Black person. That's completely different than a light skinned Black American woman, right? Who's monoracially Black. There's a completely different background. I'm disabled. Some people are able bodied. I have trans friends. I'm queer as fuck. I have gay friends. I have poly friends. My community is queer. And really the truth of the matter is that is what community is supposed to look like. Not in a way of you're going to save them. Like I'm going to do this because I'm going to save trans lives. No, in a way that trans lives should feel safe. The trans person around you should feel safe to be with you in a space. Can these people that you think you're trying to save feel comfortable living with you? Should be your question. Could we live together and they feel okay? Could I live there and feel okay? Would I feel safe? You know what I'm saying? So that is going to be the difference of when you're building community is it's letting go of the saviorism and coming into solidarity. Because obviously, white people come at this work as saviors. And I'm like, if we all left, if every Black and brown person left this land and we left you the ethno state that they would like to create, you'd still be facing these laws. And that is a reality that you have to sit with as white bodied people. You have to sit with that truth is that these laws have and always have been about you. The easiest manifestation of them goes right back to one is making it about race, keeping us disconnected and making you believe it was no longer about you and it was about us. It is about keeping you home, you without laws to protect you, you without freedoms to move, to create their cis Christian patriarchal nationalist ethno state. And that is the reality. And to counter that, you need community. In order to be in community, you need to decolonize because everything you come at and you approach, and decolonization is for everybody, is with a colonizer's mindset. We see it in every wave of something. I see it in the magic spaces, right? All of a sudden, everybody's a witch and touching into it. And I'm like, oh, okay, you still haven't done the work. We see it in anti racism spaces where it's like, okay, move over. This is what we're doing. Still haven't done the work. It's still not community. We're still approaching things in a colonizer mindset with a capitalistic framework. And that all has to be dismantled. And you have to be willing to reimagine something different. I want you to know that if you're following me and if you continue to follow me, I'm not here to save this system. I don't give a flying fuck about this system. So if you've come here thinking Des is going to teach us how to save it, no. I'm going to teach you how to build parallel systems within it to survive its demise because it must fall apart and we must reimagine something new. I'm going to leave you with this thought because I'm well over time and I really do like to respect people's time boundaries. And the recap will come in the article in the podcast episode. So don't worry, you won't miss any talking points or reflection points. They will be there. But I want you to think about this. I want you to think about any dystopian film that you watch, right? I love them. They're fun, especially like the 80s ones. You sit down. But here's what I noticed the theme is they're usually written by white writers. And even with the opportunity that the entire world has ended as you know it, they will find ways to oppress people. Whether it's the machines are doing it, they will find ways to have two, maybe three people of color or Black people in it. They will still find ways to be racist. They will still find ways to put a rape scene in. You guys are not imaginative enough. You have to be able to reimagine something different while this crumbles. So if you are here because you think I'm going to teach you how to save this shithole, I don't want you to think that. I do not want to dupe you. I do not want to mislead you. I will 100% teach you how to build a parallel system so you could live where you don't even feel impacted by this. So you could feel so strong and so deeply held in community that what they're doing at top doesn't matter because we're the majority here. It's a pyramid scheme. And that little top 1% only has power because we keep playing with them. And if we stop playing with them and build what we need here at the bottom, which may mean letting go of those capitalistic mindsets, living smaller, doing different things, and reimagining, we'll be okay. And they will crumble because it has to go. The system is no more good. It was never good. It is built on rotten foundation. This is stolen land built with stolen people. It was never good. It was never good. It was never great. It wasn't even great for the people that think it was great for. Because back to the fact, you never saw your white father cry. Okay. Nobody ever asked him, right? Think about all the white men that, were cross dressing in the times. Nobody ever asked them if they wanted to be queer. It was not an option. Nobody ever asked them if they wanted to be single. We focused so hard on feminism and pushing women forward, we left the men behind, right? Nobody ever asked the question, right? Do you want to be married? Did you want to have children? It was just a system that he had to go along with too. Men were not allowed to move up in these CEO positions, in these boardroom spaces, if they did not have wives, children. They would be considered irresponsible bachelors. Same. These systems harm everybody. We have to be willing to see every single person in the system and reimagine something new. And that's what I'm going to leave you with. I'm super happy. So many of you are showing up. I'm very excited for this. Hercules, Hercules. And I'll be back tomorrow. I'm very excited. I will be here every day for the next 100 days, right? Well, now it's like countdown 97 days or whatever. But I will be here and I will show up. And I hope to see you. And I'm speaking and I ask you to not do that when I'm on live and I need you to respect that. No, no, it's not an appropriate time and you won't be asking me that question now. So, anywho, talk with you guys later. I will see you tomorrow. I will keep showing up. Let me read these last little comments. Amanda said, that is so comforting. Thank you. I will keep working on it. Absolutely, Amanda. It's going to be work. I heard someone recently say that we all depend on each other. It's just that wealthy people pay to help others provide. Exactly. Okay. They're not doing it on their own. They have all sorts of people. Morgan says, good morning. Good morning. Let me see. Hi, Kate. You just came on and we're just about to go. Sherry said, I was raised to believe you can trust everyone in a cult, but ended up super damaged from trusting the wrong people. Finding the right balance of trust and healthy boundaries is a challenge. And I'm super happy to help you with that because, yes, it is. And cults are very common inside of, white supremacist systems because, again, their ultimate goal is controlling, white bodies, very specifically white women and femme bodies for their ethno states. Thank you for helping us imagine something different together. It's my absolute pleasure. Amanda, I love this. It feels so powerful because it is. It's amazing when we know that we could actually make a difference, when we could change things when we're really working together. Thank you, Desiree. Much love, everyone. Thank you for this. Hercules, Hercules. Yes, I love that. That's the thing. Hercules. That's the thing. That's the thing. All right. I'm off. My tiny humans have been super patient, hence the 30-minute time limit. But I've maxed out on that. And that's all they have. And they've been out of school since December 19th. I'll be back tomorrow. I will recap everything in an article and the podcast. Again, the first 10 days of this is blasted out to everyone at DesireeBStevens.com. See you tomorrow.